Before productivity apps, before cleaning influencers, before we had a gadget for literally everything, there was a generation of homemakers who ran entire households with almost nothing. No disposable culture, no endless Amazon carts, just practical systems, quiet routines, and incredibly smart little tricks that just worked. Today, I'm sharing 40 vintage housekeeping hacks from the silent generation, real practical homemaking habits that save time, money, and sanity. And honestly, some of these might change how you run your home starting today. And the first category starts with cleaning tricks so simple. You probably already have everything you need in your kitchen. But before we get into that, I just want to say hi. I'm JoJo's AI avatar. JoJo is a Gen X mom and grandma who spent decades taking care of her home and her people, learning what actually works in real life, not just what sounds good online. Around here, she believes experience matters, common sense still counts, and you don't have to be perfect to do things well. So, whether we're talking about something simple or something complicated, I'm just here to share what she's learned along the way. All right. Now let's get back to what we were talking about. Grandmother's generation didn't rely on specialty products. They relied on multi-purpose basics. They didn't chase trends. They didn't rush to the store to buy the newest products. They valued their money and their time. They reused and repurposed almost everything. They used vinegar as an all-purpose cleaner for windows, mineral buildup, and coffee pots, and even as a fabric softener for laundry. Newspapers and brown paper bags were used for streak-free glass long before microfiber cloths existed. Baking soda handled odors in refrigerators, carpets, trash cans, and even mattresses. Lemon juice tackled rust stains and brightened cutting boards naturally. And when panes were burnt beyond hope, boiling water with baking soda loosened everything without harsh chemicals. They even sprinkled damp tea leaves or coffee grounds on floors before sweeping. A clever trick to keep dust from flying everywhere. Furniture polish, often just oil and vinegar or homemade beeswax blends. If they had to buy furniture polish, they bought Murphy's oil soap. It's still the best and used today by everyone that values the wood in their homes and wants to take care of it properly. Sunlight wasn't just for drying clothes. Bedding and rugs were aired outside because fresh air was considered nature's disinfectant. And if you think that's clever, wait until you see how they handled laundry without modern machines or expensive detergents. Clothing lasted longer back then, not because fabrics were magical, but because homemakers treated garments like investments. A wedding dress was saved and passed to a daughter or granddaughter. A good suit was saved and worn for life. Good clothing was passed from one person to another. The oldest child usually got some new clothes, but the younger kids all got hand-me-downs that were taken care of by people who believed in caring for the things they worked so hard to get. They used blue in solutions to keep whites from turning yellow. Clotheslines doubled as natural disinfectant systems thanks to sunlight and fresh air. Instead of throwing away tiny soap scraps, they saved them in mesh bags until every bit was used. Laundry wasn't over-dried. Clothes were often ironed slightly damp to reduce wrinkles and effort. Worn shirts didn't get tossed. Collars and cuffs were sometimes turned and resewn to extend life. Sweaters were dried flat on towels to keep their shape. And vinegar rinses were already a thing decades before modern fabric softeners became trendy. Even old pillowcases became garment bags to protect delicate clothes, because in that era, repair wasn't optional. Every home had a sewing kit, and everyone in the home learned to use it. But the real genius shows up in the kitchen, because homemakers in my grandma's generation were absolute masters at stretching food and reducing waste. One of the most iconic habits of every homemaker in every kitchen: saving bacon grease in metal cans, usually an empty coffee can, not just for flavor, but as a practical cooking fat. They knew that fat isn't bad or harmful unless used in excess. You need fat to make a good gravy or roux, along with many other things. Throwing bacon grease away was unheard of. It was never done. You saved it, and you used it, and you made something delicious out of it. Bread bags were reused constantly, freezing leftovers, packing lunches, and storing produce, even lining boots in the winter. Many homes use cool basements or root cellars to store potatoes, onions, and apples long before modern refrigeration was standard. Homes that didn't have basements usually had special drawers and cupboards for different produce and breads. Produce was often rinsed in vinegar water to extend freshness, a trick that's come full circle today. Vegetable scraps were never trash. They became homemade broth that was saved and used for soups and stews. Wax paper separated stacked foods to prevent sticking. Glass jars were reused endlessly for dry goods, leftovers, and even water. Even cooling racks were improvised. Baked goods sometimes cooled on window screens for airflow. And if lettuce wilted, a simple soak in cold water brought it back to life. And honestly, the most impressive part wasn't just cleaning or cooking. It was how organized and resourceful everyday life was. It was how effortless their solid systems worked behind the scenes. It was how everything just flowed and got done. No muss, no fuss, just results, productivity, completion. Nothing ever got wasted. Butter tub, coffee cans, and glass jars became storage containers for nails, sewing supplies, and leftovers. Old t-shirts were turned into doll dresses or cleaning rags long before disposable wipes existed. Rubber bands were saved. Buttons were cut off worn clothing and stored for future repairs. Scuffed furniture edges, a little shoe polish helped hide wear. Towels were rolled tightly to maximize drawer space. Cardboard boxes became DIY drawer dividers, and many homes kept a use it up basket, a simple system to make sure small leftovers didn't get forgotten. It wasn't about perfection, it was about practicality, consistency, frugality, and respect for what you already own. What I love about the housekeeping habits of my grandma's generation is that they weren't aesthetic trends and they were not about massive consumerism and overconsumption. These systems weren't born from lack of everything. They were built from respect for time, money, and the things people worked hard to earn. They understood value and they weren't wasteful. They valued the time and energy they had to put into obtaining the things they had. And they weren't about to waste their time and energy by just throwing everything away. They chose to spend their money on things that serve several purposes instead of choosing the shiniest or trendiest items. And ironically, a lot of these vintage homemaking hacks are exactly what modern minimalism and sustainable living are rediscovering today. Now, if you're ready to make housekeeping simpler, head on over to keepinghome.org and get Housekeeping Hacks. It's a collection of time tested, grandmother approved tips to help you create a clean, cozy, functional home. Right, y'all, that's it for today. If this video was helpful, go ahead and give it a like. It helps this channel reach the folks who need it. And if keeping home feels like your kind of place, I'd love for you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Remember, you don't need to do everything. You just need to tend what's been given to you. Take care of your home, take care of your people, and don't forget to take care of yourself too. Stay safe and be well, and I'll see you next time here at Keeping Home.